Welcome to Wildcat Science with Mrs. Haugo. This is Life Science, and we are on activity number 7, Energy Flow Through an Ecosystem. So please go to your Live Binder and open it up and open up to activity number 7 in our ecology section. Okay, we've been working through this independently, and so you should have done this, entered the new activity in your table of contents, in your physical, and in this binder, done the vocabulary, written the challenge down below, read page 90 and filled out the procedure number 1 down below, and then done all of A, where you read each kelp forest organism card. So I made you copies of those, and they look like this. Sorted the organisms into 2 to 3 groups, recorded the groups in procedure number 2 down below, and then constructed an ecosystem food web to show the direction of energy transfer from one organism to another, and you began by laying out the giant kelp card at the bottom, and then you look through the cards to identify all of the organisms that feed on giant kelp and place those above it. So like this, place those above it. And then you continued placing cards on the table based on the organisms they feed on, forming a food web. And then you took a picture and sent that into Classroom. And then you recorded it on your piece of construction paper, not construction paper, but poster board that you picked up when you picked up your Chromebook at the school. And then you drew arrows from one organism to the next to show how energy passes from one organism to the next. And you read down below about the trophic levels, producers, consumers, and decomposers, and you color-coded that. Selected a color pencil or a marker or whatever you have to represent a producer, a different color for a consumer, and a third color for a decomposer. And then you color-coded each organism in the food web, and you took a picture of that and uploaded it to the assignment on Classroom. And also you answered your analysis questions 1, 2, and 3, and there were explanations on the Daily Check-In Google Doc. Okay, now we're on part B, using a food web to predict the impact of actions and events on an ecosystem. And we're going to obtain a set of ecosystem event cards. Well, you got those when you picked up your poster board event. And using your kelp forest food web, discuss how the event described on the card affects the ecosystem. Choose one organism or factor in the web that is affected and think of the chain of events that will occur throughout the ecosystem, and scientists call this type of chain of events a trophic cascade. So today we are going to work on event 1 and event 2. So this is supposed to be event 2, 3, and 4. Okay, great. There we go. So you should have a challenge written here. You should have read your book and answered procedures A, B, C, and D. Constructed your food web. Answered the questions. And then these pictures will help you with your procedure. And now we're down here at event 1. Okay, please find event 1 and we're going to read it. Brown moths in California are killed with pesticides. California apple growers have started to find brown moths in their orchards. The brown moth feasts on the apples, destroying the crops. To eliminate this moth from the orchards, farmers have decided to spray pesticides over the orchards every night for 1 week. Once on the trees, the pesticide kills the moths, but it is also eventually absorbed into the soil In the soil, the pesticide reaches the groundwater, which joins with local rivers that run into the Pacific Ocean. The location of kelp forests. In the ocean, the pesticides kill the phytoplankton and zooplankton. Okay, great. Now we're going to go through a summary of the event. Okay, so what we know are pesticides are sprayed in apple orchards to kill the brown moths, and then that pesticide gets into rivers, which eventually go into the ocean. So let's type that up. Okay, please make sure you're following along in your live binder. So pesticides are sprayed in the apple orchards to kill the brown moths, and pesticides get into rivers and eventually the ocean. So next up, we're going to talk about the short-term effects, the effects that are listed on the card. So the brown moths are destroying the apples, and we know the pesticides are used to kill brown moths, and we also know that the pesticides runoff gets into the ocean, and that there it is killing phytoplankton and zooplankton. So let's write that up. Okay, in the short term, brown moths are destroying apples. Pesticides are used to kill brown moths. The pesticide runoff gets into the ocean, and the pesticides kill the plankton. So what are the long-term effects of this? Well, we know if the plankton is going to die, then there are the animals that eat the plankton, and then the animals that eat the animals that eat the plankton are all going to be affected. So those will be the long-term effects. Okay, so please write this in your live binder. Consumers that eat plankton will die. And then since rockfish eat plankton, some of the rockfish will die. And then the sea otters might not have enough food, and some will die because the sea otters eat the rockfish. Our last column is the effects on the flow of energy. So since plankton are the basis, and other producers are the basis of the food web, then if they die, then the amount of energy in all the food web is less, so there isn't enough energy for all the consumers. Okay, let's type that up. When plankton dies, there isn't enough energy in the food web for all the consumers, so some consumers will die. Some of the consumers that eat plankton won't get enough energy and will die. And some of the consumers that eat the animals that eat plankton won't get enough energy and will die. Okay, great. So if you have any questions, let me know. What I need you to do is I need you to do the same for event 2, which is the one labeled Event 2 about a new housing development. All right, have a good day. Bye.